Good evening, everybody. It has been a most exciting afternoon. My plan was actually to leave at about 3:30, but trying to get financials out to work and answer a few emails led that to be more like 4 o'clock. And by the time I actually got organised and left, I was coming up 4:30 around at the fuel dock. So topped up the port fuel tank, which was good, and then went to empty the starboard holding tank because I haven't been able to pump it out at sea, and I put a snake down, disconnected the macerator hose and put a snake down the pipe, the dipstick pipe that actually empties the tank, and that seemed to flow okay. However, it just wasn't pumping out, and so the joys of holding tanks, ended up getting a hose and putting it down the vent to try and clear the vent, and the vent was sucking fine, but unfortunately that then filled the holding tank up to about 3/4 full, and it just was not pumping out. So there's definitely some weird blockage going on despite the macerator or the holding tank hose having good suction to the through hole. It's really hard to know what's going on. Anyway, so I'm going to have to get somebody to give me a hand to check that one out, because I've sort of, with the snake and having snaked it, I feel like I've done as much as I can. So however, then I decided to leave, and it was getting dark at that point, but the St Andrews Bay channel is actually really well marked and very deep. However, they were actually dredging in the channel, and then fog started to come down, and so I had to use my GPS to kind of take a detour around, and they had all these oil pipelines that they'd moved, or these pipes that they'd moved, and they did have flashing yellow lights on them, but in the fog it was really hard to see. But luckily there was a really great guy kind of keeping watch over them, and he hailed the boat in front of me, which I couldn't see because of the fog and me, and yeah, and between that and my radar, which is just working magnificently, because tonight is like a crescent moon, like I can't even see a moon, it's pitch black out here, which is what you're probably seeing on camera, but the stars are just magnificent. It's amazing out here, and it's, you know, pretty much flat seas. I've got about 30 degrees into the wind. So anyway, basically I got out of the channel, and then once I got out to sea, the fog cleared and lifted, so you know, like that land fog. So it's been a really it was exciting getting out and relying on my radar and GPS with very little vision. I had all my lights dim. I put my tricolour on instead of my nav lights on the boat, because the stern light's so bright it kills your vision. Luckily the radar figured out how to get into night mode, so that's very dark, and put the iPad, which I'm using for navigation, into night mode too. So yeah, so managed to get out, and so that was a big relief. And then you know, as the fog lifted, it's just become a really lovely night out here. So I've had some dinner. I put the dock line and the fenders away, dock lines and fenders away, put the main up, and so I'm about, as I said, 30 degrees to wind. The wind is supposed to shift around to about a reach, and then it should be a broad reach as it strengthens, and I should be getting into Apalachicola. I'm giving it a wide berth because it's quite shallow on the point, so I should be getting in through Government Cut at about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, just when it's light, so I can see. It's about a 12 to 14 hour passage from St Andrews to there, at about, depending if you're going 5 or 6 knots. There was no good way of doing it by day, given the time. Like, I can't really go a lot faster than 6 knots. And so I decided it was better to leave during the night and do an overnighter, so I got in daylight. Like, it's just an absolute requirement to get in during daylight so I can see what's happening in an unfamiliar place. So it meant I had to leave St Andrews at you know, Panama City at night time. So anyway, this is the way it's happened, and I should get into Apalachicola, as I said, about 7 o'clock. I've been trying to get hold of Battery Park Marina, and it's just the phone number's wrong in the cruising guide. I can't seem to get hold of anybody regarding it. Evidently the cruising guide says that it can take boats up to 75 foot, but it also gives the wrong phone number. It doesn't say anything about draft, so I'm inclined to probably just anchor inside Government Cut unless I can get hold of somebody. But then there is this north front coming through that could get up to 30 knots, so I'm really going to be relying on my anchoring gear, because I'm not going to get a lot of shelter. I basically, the shelter is all to the south, not the north, so it could be kind of exciting. But I've anchored out in 25 knots before, so it might be a bit bouncy with some of the waves, but I've 200 foot of chain and a really solid bridle, so I have a lot of confidence in my anchoring gear. Might be exciting getting it back up again, but it should hold pretty well. So that'll be cool. And then as soon as this front passes over, probably about somewhere between 6 and 9 a.m, once it sort of settles down a little and I can pull the anchor up, I will jump on the back of it, and it should be a really good broad reach for most of the way down to the Apod Keys, I think it's called, just north of Clearwater. And I plan to anchor there and then get some sleep, and then work out if I want to work my way down to Clearwater the following day. And then from Clearwater I'll fly back to Houston, if there's an airport there, to do some research. So anyway, should be some good sailing. Right now, as I said, the wind's at about 30 degrees and the main's up. I tried putting the jib out, but it's just way too close to the wind, so I'll have to wait till it shifts around a bit further about midnight. And until then, I'm just going to do my watches and keep an eye on the radar, which is just fantastic. I'm loving the radar. So good night, and I'll keep you updated.